my healing circle tonight and together sing it is well with my soul for healing for any and all that is necessary. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like billows roll, whatever I ask, God's word will say, it is well with my soul.
I'm looking for the paper.
Wow, it got so quiet you could hear coffee. Lee, could you lean forward just a little bit? That way. That's it. Yeah, I'd like to get your picture.
That's probably how you like it, my cooperation.
She's
I forgot you were crying.
Oh, well. I am so uncomfortable. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I don't even remember what it was. Morris, you reckon?
Oh, God, June, you didn't put those back. Marge, I told you not to take them in from the dentist.
It's the mold for the captain.
I thought I forgot, somebody didn't even get that I forgot.
We couldn't figure out what. Gee whiz.
It's a mold of this tooth. And the dentist gave me the whole thing. He said, that's
Not fair.
And then they cut it out and make it.
Diddy sakes, you beat
Hold it up. Let's see it.
Put it down. Put it back to
You're right, Jim. That's exactly what you know.
I need some more light. No.
Put that light on.
Well, maybe I'll get the sun down and put it on. But
How about if I put this light on?
It might work, I don't know.
Oh, and I was just telling the story.
Mo, Mo, where did you get that 5-cent Pepsi thing on a
My
door?
son gave it.
Jan?
It's real.
I think because I would love to put a table
I have a friend who collects Pepsi stuff. I just
He
thought,
he got one for himself and he got us one. And,
don't know where he might have come across it.
yeah, New Jersey,
Flea market or something?
no, it was an antique shop.
Excuse me, they unplugged the Lambert tape recorder. What about this light?
That's okay. No, I won't help. I got need to have the light now.
Well, is there another outlet over there, Jan? I'll just pull it out and put it over there.
We can't plug it. Let it get, can you get anything or not?
Yeah, it just is recording very low. I'm recording right now.
We'll turn it off.
Is there an outlet behind the television? I can just move the whole thing over there.
No,
Wait, they already did it. They already
There's
did
only
it.
one there. That's- Oh, okay.
Thank you, thank you. Is that open?
You know what would do better, Morris? You put George in front of this light. This light's gonna open your iris.
No, we
Now,
don't have
if-
any.
Move George either under the light.
I'm getting a recording. As a matter of fact, I'm recording right now. But I'd like to have a little better. But it's okay.
He swallowed it. And he tries to make it. I'm very happy though. That's for one now. I have. I saw the first day the phone like this. I haven't done it in 9 days.
There, she's there. Elderberry wine.
These cookies.
Welcome.
You want some cheers?
How brown?
Oh, very nice.
Let's test, test. Wait just a minute.
Okay.
Has someone here who wants to greet you in this way?
Morris? Yes.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Gaston. Die Gaston from Zulekisen, but what remains to be withdrawn and to try to assist in any way. Now I have a drink.
Is that enough?
Now that I could taste.
Well, how about another one then?
No, I think a hold for now.
It's right beside you if you want.
And also has great anticipation. Anticipation of what is possible to occur in the present. And as I did say, it's willing to make effort as we can. It may come to be that you will see activity. If nothing else, surrounding the head of the instrument. This will be the term formation. But it would be a bit different. Because you remember that I did say in about 2 cents, with this attempt, there would be no actual shadow, but the activity would be the same. And so this was a spirit who will continue to be with me and receiving the positive vibrations from all of you. I can only say could occur to you any time. I cannot be specific. But perhaps it will help to understand if I do relate a very brief message of realization to you during this your Christmas time. And let us have it in the remembrance of light. Light that glows and grows, which is what Christmas is, the expansion of the very beginning of light. And it is important, as I tell us this, to include all and each of you with it. For you is all very much a part of it. Just as you was at the birth of the baby. Each one of you, in some way, although you may not now realize it, had a part of yourself radiating the beam of light to us. From that part of each of your stars, combining together to the expansion of the great light that was to really enlighten an entire area of a city. It was sent to a newborn child. And it was your action of each and every one of you to say you indeed were present the birth of a Christic being. This is important. As this your Christmas time to really know that you indeed the present, that you indeed through the light coming from you and just us were presence as well as present. Your presence creates the light. Known as a star until now can be related as it should have been realized. That money combined. Those of you who now are always coming to learn, to continue to find positive response and becoming aware of your own value and importance. Indeed, are now continuing to expand the fullness of life with love through the light which you were a part of many of your centuries ago. But this is the one you celebrate. But also, I feel it is important for you to know that those who did similar actions when also Christ beings was incarnated with us before the one who was to celebrate. Realize the actions. Know of your importance to yourself and to others for all of what you know as time and every perspective. We indeed do this by power and glory of one in brightness and light. And continue to manifest that version and in the continuing learning and endeavors from your own heart bring about the unification of spiritual awareness of all things that is. Realize it. Remember it always. For you are an important integral part. And we are happy that you have afforded us the opportunity to share it with you by our own knowledge. You start the time in the night, in the brightness of daylight. Never of friction, never of change. Always brilliant. That shows within you and around you. Thanks you for accepting in every past day what you have according to myself, I would love to bring up mine.
Water would be better for that pickle.
Well, it might well be something. What it is, and also there's actually a time to produce energy, different through the voice. And I just don't know what is occurring from what you can tell. But there's advising you that there is going to be something to scroll in some way, somehow, perhaps now even, it may be possible for some of you anyway to perceive things. That's a very good vessel. Trust. That is something. Trust. It's important to many people.
You're talking about the coffee?
Trust.
Well, I'm betting Grandpa can kind of get a whopper and why.
Well, someone has because they say that's good.
Is it empty?
You tell us. Milk,
Yeah, there's one drop in there. You want it?
you may have it. Now leave.
Too much wine.
Not too much. Already. I noticed that I should continue to be too, but it should stay short, replay. If there's anyone who has a particular history, I would be willing to try to respond.
Oh, I'm wondering if you could tell us anything about any potential improvement.
His condition concerning his physical health was somewhat improved because of the treatments given, especially the liquids, which will help to cleanse a portion of the ducts involved. Now I also realizes that there are many things that medical people know, and many things they have yet to learn. And our wishes to express to you this, from what I could analyze, I was missing brief. This condition of liver, while it has shown somewhat improvement and not too long ago, it's not a true picture. But this is not because they have not attempted to know of it. It is that the organ itself relays different responses. To put it the best they can, that portion of the liver which is functioning does show a improvement in its function. But the analytical tests that they have does not show the portions of the organ that is not functional. So the testing and the readings received primarily reflect only that portion which is more functional. And this is why there is a vast difference in what has occurred with him and what the trust did seem to exhibit. I just not know what they will decide any more than you would. We will do what we can from here. But it has to be truthful to you. When, and if the suggestion as it is made quickly perhaps, to have him removed for a transfer of a other organ, it should not be postponed. His stamina otherwise is good. If it weren't, he would not now be with in your physical presence.
Katie, I wonder if you could give me some insight. This week I had a vision concerning Michael and his trip to visit his father for Christmas. I wonder if you could tell me what precipitated those visions, and what relationship they may have, if any, to Michael's dream of today concerning that trip.
Well, it can be somewhat considered in different ways. I would say it is both conscious way and subconscious way with you. Of your concern, of course, for him, and in subconscious manner, for the concern that as he proceeds to visit, that it would not come to the position of his desiring to remain in that area as he matures. In other words, almost like, but not the same as a dream. The subconscious being of concern. And this will represent the inability in the vision of a return. Now the act of what hurt dealt with primarily the accent on that traveling about to be. And in his health, being of the age he is, open, he absolutely could sense in his psychic day what had occurred within you and your vision in your thoughts. Does not say that it involves an actual material or physical act of any kind, such as seeing very strong and impressive to you. I can see that it would be considered as a possibility. It always can be. I think the two of you together for sharing a separateness. Only was expressed in this manner toujours.
What do you mean sharing a separateness?
Sharing a separateness to come by his visit, that he would not be in your place for some while. Correct.
Sharing.
Well, what was this then a negative entity impressing me? It wasn't precognitive.
No, I would not say it was negative nor precognitive. It merely was a consideration in a sense of a possibility, at least remote, but it dealt primarily with a symbolic explanation of your feelings within, of his traveling on unto your being separate from him for a brief while.
And you're saying his dream indicated that he picked this up from me, or does he feel the same?
Yes.
He feels the
This
same.
was his feelings. He could not explain, but it was of psychic activity within him. Thus.
Okay, thanks.
Katie, here's a group of people that read that material that Mrs. Quint gave me a name to contact, Collins in Atlanta. Can you tell me more about that group? Were they going to be like this group here in Gettysburg?
Probably not the same until they come to know each other better or more closer. The primary thing they need to do is, as you've always maintained, has always been maintained, is do not exclude offer anyone who desires to attend. I would say this would be the primary reason, and it can be an acceptable one, but the primary thing will be to intensify their investigative studies concerning the materials that was received and recorded by the spiritual beings who is very highly illumined, as you would say, being. And it can be very helpful for your understanding. It will be a good guru. But I suppose you would say, if anything, no, this is to be expected. It at least will begin on a more intellectual basis in order to receive and understand what is expressed in the material. A good group shot.
And I'm also interested in the Atlanta School of Massage. In January, they have another session starting. Is that a good time for me to start?
Yes, I would say proceed.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Katie, I would like to ask you, when am I going to get Act 2?
Well, as I said always for this time, I would say once you begin into Georgia,
Once I begin in the New York,
you will be starting to realize what should become a part of this. And it will flow very freely for you. Exactly how far, or I should say, it's what distance to the museum. It's rather difficult. But the thing I would say, pretty much finally settled by no later than the date you refers to and knows of as the Feast of Passover.
When you say finally settled, you mean it's finally complete?
Yes. Pretty much, except for the final, how do you say it? Yeah, something like that.
The final touches. Will we be in rehearsal by then?
If not, then it should be pretty much following close. Yes.
Well, you know, I called George the other day, and he said that they were interested with modifications, and that was the first time I thought about somebody modifying it. What are they talking about, and how much leeway should I go with that if they want to change the title, if they want to drop the characters?
Well, I think what the primary thing is, they will want to somewhat change certain characteristics of the characters to bring them into a everyday reality combined with the other reality involved.
So they don't want to reduce the number, they don't want to...
No.
Oh, that's so much easier. Are they going to change the title?
I don't think at this time they're considering that. No.
May I ask you, Katie, if you can tell me the physical changes that I'm going through, the nausea, the shaking, I don't know, is the energy being blocked? Am I trying too hard?
In all probability, test. Test. Allow it to flow as you relax. Test. Firstly, once your music begins, things will change. In many ways.
You tell me to.
No.
Yeah. Are there any more surprises coming up, like the one I had this week? On top of the automobile accident.
I do not see any great or specific ones. No. I do not see anything of any great amount. No. Other than a good surprise, maybe very forthcoming.
They will, I didn't.
Be very cool.
Would be very cool. Oh, that would be. I have to ask again about Steve. Is he going to play the part? I get confused when I try to think it through.
Well, at first we does not know whether he would or not. However, those choices here, he will have to make a decision. If he should not, do not be awfully concerned about finding one who will undo a very adequate and professional way. He said.
So just a record casting.
Yes.
Yes. May I ask about my father's transition? Will that occur in the next 6 months?
the possibility it would be his choice, whether conscious or not. That is, whether he realizes or not. I would say indications do express that by the middle of your coming year, in all possibilities are.
Katie, I have a question from a friend, Chris Horn. I'd like to say Fröhliche Weihnachten. And she wants to know that an experience she had that was very frightening when she was 14, and she started to see things in her home, like an arm coming out of a closet, her bed levitating, sometimes she'd just see a foot. And she started to study to get those things to stop happening, and she wondered what they came from, or what they were.
Well, these things was at times by spirit beings, unaware of where they now were, trying to again rematerialize into physical but they could not. And when they were unsuccessful with this, then they would try other activities, as the movement of furniture, or things of this kind, trying to gain the attention of one who had previously resided with them and who had no idea or realization of accepting the fact that the life goes on without ending, that only the physical body ended. And this was what she was seeing, and was preparing for in a way for her own questioning and seeking answers which would assist her for her own growth and fulfillment of knowledge of truth. There was not really negative, merely trying to be explicit and gain the attention they felt needed to be for her.
What? Then they did signal her out individually.
Right.
And it happened after she had a terrible experience. Was it related to that experience?
Task was to help to remove the fear or the stigma of what had occurred with her. To help remove that from her. To have her understand and be more acceptable to that which occurred.
Are they still residing in that same house?
They visit,
Oh.
but they do not maintain the existence as had previously been. No.
Have they been to the light?
What's that? Yes, they have.
That will be a great deal of help to her. Thank you.
Katie, I have a question here of clarification for Vicki. Should there be a consideration of Michael staying in Texas for a prolonged period of time living there?
Not at the present, no. What was being in hand or meant was that as he matured or grew, the possibility of his maybe desiring to be there more of the time than he now is or would be. Until that time, that would be some of your years away. It is not by any means immediate and it may not occur. It is just something that is a possibility to be considered.
Would that be of his own choosing?
What's that? And it would not be necessary on a regular or permanent basis. It may just be a testing time to see how you would react. or what would be the reaction of those involved? And then the decision made, well, I didn't want it anyway. It was just a testing tutorial.
He's been away. He does that now.
Ah, well, it will grow, it will mature.
Well, this is a normal thing for a child in those circumstances, but I'm asking you for your opinion, your feeling about that. Do you think that if Michael should want to do this in the future, that it would be a good thing or not?
I would say immediately say, go ahead, that's what he wants to hear. If you dispute it, then he will elongate it. If you say it's right away, go ahead. Then he will say, oh, I don't really want to. But if you give him a bit of a hard time, then he will insist on wanting it. You see?
Okay, I'm still not clear on why were the visions that I saw specifically relating to his transition due to the air trip. How does this all relate? That really upset me in light of all the air accidents that have been happening.
Well, that's part of it. They're a part of you, and as I said, there has to be considered as a possibility even though remote. And you will have that no matter who it was or when it was. You see, how could I best say this?
Isn't transition, doesn't that mean sometimes a new beginning?
Well, it always means that a change or beginning just. I suppose when you're speaking of transition, it would be a transition to another, even though temporary, place to reside.
To what?
Another place to reside.
To reside.
So this would be a transition for him. Even though he may be there 5 days, it is a
Okay.
transition.
Then you don't think that it's necessary to send him on his way with extra protection?
What's that? What's that? Do not disregard that. Just. You never disregard that. If you do, you encourage us.
Well, when I say extra, I was going to ask the group if they would think about coming tomorrow.
Just. What's that? Do that. Do not eliminate or do not remove anything of harmful or positive nature for him. Just.
Thank you, Katie.
Cindy, my sister passed over in the spirit about 10 days ago. I would like to know whether she had gone for the light. She had some mess.
What was from him?
Catherine.
Catherine what?
Pizzano.
Yes. Has the husband to life has has problem with receiving the message except something like this really, which I just not understand. Perhaps you would. The community here is a lot better than wine and bread.
Oh. She did listen to me after all. She did. Thank you, Katie.
Katie, you were going to say something last week about you and Crystal and how we could recognize you when you came back without being shadowless. Would you like to pursue that?
Well, crystal, no matter what shape or size it may be, will be to myself upon incarnating as a sea person. Will be that to which I associate, and to that to which I refer, involving any type of manifestation upon the earth. It will be from the energies within the crystal that I shall be able, as I understand it now, to manifest and be able to be seen. Generally speaking, it will be most palpable to occur as the sun rises in its first 2 hours. That the energies from the rays of the sun will reflect the crystal, and that they shall, in their own rays, relate to spirit, being, or life. When this occurs through the crystal, the channel will be a design of and for 6 colors. Once the reflection is made as a contact for myself, these colors will double. The shades, various shades. And the reflected rays will become more of an arc or a rainbow effect, using the energies from the crystal to go along the arc or to the end or beginning of a rainbow effect. It is there that a manifestation will occur. The colors will not necessarily remain as such. Once a manifesting is made, there will be produced a molecular form which shall of itself be uncolored or pure transparent crystal. It will give that appearance, which shall very quickly be modified by the clouding of the form to give it, or the person manifesting, an appearance that is recognized as at least proportionately physical as those observing it. Now the reason for this cloudiness and creating forms similar to physical is in a sense to subdue the brilliance, the brightness of the rays of light for there would be no purpose in manifesting subversions that you could not relate to those upon the earth. I will come, and you may recognize, those of you, and some of you, maybe all of you, will have the occasion to greet me. Perhaps at first not to realize it or understand it, but to welcome me. You may get the feeling of myself as you know me now, Katie. But that shall not be my name to be used in the occasion. I haven't yet decided what name to use. But I will advise you of it. If not by myself, so unto one that will be, or what that name shall be. It will be different, and maybe you would say unusual, but I'm an unusual being anyway.
Katie, would that be similar to what I call my angel experience that I had? Would that be probably the same manifestation?
No, not at all.
Oh.
I am going to be a sea being, not an angel.
Well, what I call
I
the
never
angel.
was an angel. But I don't think I could change that quick. No, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about.
But no, this will be more different. This is a progression of the unification of life forms to relate to all life forms that are and will be.
So it would not be the same energy that I had that experience?
No. But anyway, as I said, I will advise you of the name I would be recognized by. I will instruct you accordingly. Because this is what it will be. Crystals will be very important, not just for me, but for other beings of similar intent.
Well, how big must these crystals be? You're talking a great big hunk?
Doesn't matter. They can be as small as a bead, small bead, or they can be as large. Well, it doesn't matter. They can be as large as a boulder that would weigh a couple of hundred of your pounds.
Now, that I'm not understanding. Is your materialization each time dependent upon someone's being out there at the right time with the crystal?
No, I will find crystal wherever it is.
In the earth.
No, on the surface.
Oh, on
I will materialize on the surface. It will manifest on the surface of the earth. Yes. It will be relative to the sun and its rays of energy that it projects to the crystal, and the crystal in turn projects in another angle.
I guess you wouldn't tell us, say, how long it is till you start to do this.
Well, it would be rather now difficult to say. I would probably say allow me in the area of up to your five of your years. It could be changed, it could be lesser. But there are many things yet that I need to learn in order to work with it in a cooperative manner. It could be lesser. And if it is so, I will advise you.
Katie, what you're saying is that you will use crystal, the energy gotten from the light reflections in the crystal to make your materialization.
From the sun's, yes.
From the sun.
The sun's rays energies. Yes.
So that when you do this, you will just find crystal no matter where it might be.
Yes. That which is appropriate, as you would say, or best available when the manifestation would occur, because a manifestation may occur quickly and often. You see, there's something else that has to learn that you have not yet been told. I'm speaking of money manifestation. I'm speaking of different parts of me as different manifestations. A sea being is going to be multifaceted, not just single. There will be occasions where there will be on several occasions at several places upon your earth. All these parts of me are all and always will be in touch or in tune with you, just as the vibrations in our realm are attuned to you. So at any time, anywhere, you may perhaps be at, or maybe 12 places upon the earth, many miles from each other, and each of you could say, and recognize the fact that we did have a coming together. And you would all be correct.
Would this come for specific reasons?
Because of first change.
Because of the change. That's what I was saying. Katie, would a materialization be the same way? Would you, as a multifaceted being, could you materialize? Or would you be more together, the parts of you?
I could materialize.
In 12 different places at the same
Sure,
time?
I could.
Same body.
Sure. Sure.
And
With the assistance of others, yeah.
And would you, with the materialization, using the crystal?
Sure, it would depend upon it.
Could you materialize with the crystal, using the crystal, being worn by someone? Say a necklace or an earring or a bracelet?
Oh, yes, it doesn't matter. Yes.
The sun does need to shine.
The sun needs to have its
Come
rays
to my
upon
living
it.
room. Come to my living room. Oh, a question I wanted to know was, is the continuation of the materialization dependent upon being in the presence of the crystal? Or once materialized, can you travel then outside of it?
Well, once materialized to a specific amount or extent, then the crystal would no longer be required. It is to be used as an energy field only.
Would this be any type of crystal?
Just,
Lead
but
crystal as well as
hopefully, just the lead crystal would be alright. Just the rock crystal would be better, perhaps more easy, or I should say, for me to make my manifestation. But I could do it with the other kinds also. Basic crystal is the same. Whether it's a lead or rock doesn't matter. It is just as the density of the rock crystal is better.
But it has more energies, is that?
Lead is more inclusive of mineral content.
Where the quartz has what?
the quartz is more, just more open, more, oh, I don't know how to describe it.
Maybe I have two clear crystals. Would those be the type that would be used?
They could be used.
More transmittable.
That,
More transmittable. Would that be the word that you were trying to?
well, through them, just.
Yeah.
Katie, would this be true of all sea beings, that they would use crystals to enter, to
Yes.
manifest?
Just they will.
So if we see other beings,
This system is done to prepare you for any of them.
Katie,
There will not be anyone. I will add this to you quickly. There will not be any sea being who would be able to come through with any type of form of negative.
Well, I have one hanging at that bedroom window where what I call mother's room still is hanging there, and I have one hanging in my dining room window. So that means that there could be manifestation in my house.
There can be, but remember always that the crystal is very important to diffuse radiation that might be harmful.
That I should not have it hanging at the window?
Oh, yes, that's where it belongs.
Oh, Kitty, incidentally, speaking of the radiation, remember, you told us about the Zimmers out in Ohio, the two.
Yes.
There was an article in our paper this week about them, and yet they were denied, you know, by the regulatory commission when someone
Yes.
called.
Well, I thought perhaps you began to disbelieve me.
Not I, but I think
But I
somebody.
just know that my timing is not always the best.
Yeah.
Katie, could I ask you a very nosy question? I'd like to know if my mother is preparing to re-enter the earth plane as a sea being.
Well, she is preparing to re-enter. I would not truthfully know as a sea being or not, but as a useful individual, yes.
You can bet on it.
Yes.
But you don't know then.
No, I just not know truthfully, as of now anyway, but what the time would be.
Then you wouldn't know if her incarnation would be imminent.
No, I would say, considering those things, that probably within 20 of your years, by 20 of your years, but I would not know exactly what to say as has to a more specific time. It could be much quicker. But this is something that is decided on what with.
Could you?
Katie, can you give me a sense of where and when I will be connecting with the life companion, partner that I anticipate will be entering into my life?
You want to know where or when?
Where and when?
Not where or when and. Where and.
And when. And who?
Very positive, Katie.
I'm ready.
Well, one will appear from a more populated area very close to you. Molach is the middle of a big city. As to when, by the spring time, sometime in there.
Could you point out to me if I am still retaining any core beliefs a la Seth's teaching that I'm still holding on to, which might be an impediment to our coming together?
No, I could not see that would be so. know the thing to realize whether it is such or anyone else's teachings is that there is all this importance to be considered further extension and expansion of what has already been relayed or related. In other words, what I'm saying is, no matter who the teacher is, if there is positive and very much helpful and progressive, this is what is important, because this is not limiting. It is only when one gets into a particular field and does not go beyond it, or allow the field to expand from within itself, then you limit, and then you retard activities within your life. So always be open to further expansion and on no limitations. For even Seth will want you to increase that which he basically did reveal for your considerations.
And I have one last question about some impressions or thoughts. I thought I was getting like a channeling of information about my former husband, and he had died in California in a hospital. And so I got this in sentence form. And yet it turned out to be incorrect because he's still alive. And that was very puzzling to me.
It's very much alive. But what basis did you have for considering this?
Well,
now, I just ask you to tell me. Think what gave you such information.
I was just sitting in the garden and the thoughts came to me.
Well, who did you trust them? You didn't trust them.
Did you test the spirit?
You have to trust each one. Are they positive? Are they of light? These are the important things.
Well,
In a sense, what you got is correct, but not in the same regard, not any immediacy. He's probably going to remain there till the earthquake attacks. So you cannot put a finger on a specific time, really.
Well, I wondered if it was predicting a future occurrence of that nature, or whether it was a mischievous entity. It didn't seem like it at the time.
Just, but you need to test it. Whether it seems as it or not, there are some very good mimics here.
Well, would the spirit necessarily tell you the truth if you got these thoughts and then you said, are you of the light, the one who's giving me this?
If they wouldn't reveal it to you, if they remained, then you could be certain, after you test them, that it probably was fairly accurate. But they would not remain if they was not positive.
I was going to say, what is the best way to test?
Are you of light?
Are you of light?
Have you been to the light?
And if they are, more or less, they would stay then. Otherwise, they would leave.
This is correct. And as they leave, send you love wisdom.
Well, I guess we're told to trust our intuitive flashes that we get.
Who says so? You need to trust them, just correct. But even these, trust. Trust the flash. Perhaps you are testing part of yourself. Perhaps there's a part of your spirit that is having this affair with you to try to get you to do or believe certain things. You are trusting yourself. Has that part of you been to the light? Or chance, it can happen.
Katie, along that lines, okay, so if you would test an entity and they would say they were of the light, could it be possible that there may be other entities that weren't of the light, that the one that was of the light was getting information from in passing it on?
Probably not, no. The only things that would occur then would be a confusing answer with which you would be unable to clarify and say, well, this is exactly this or that. You would be unable to come to the conclusion that it was positive.
When my sister and I were, when we were moving some of our things, we came across the Ouija board and we decided to get it out and have a little bit of fun with it. Pass a little bit of time. And, you know, we did definitely get somebody to come through it. We both felt this, but he seemed to be very confused.
Every question you ask to a Ouija board, you have to test each question.
Okay. That was,
because they can't change position.
and that's what it was, and some of it was very, he did say he was confused.
Sure, so some can be helpful, but some is not.
Well, somebody had showed me a book, I think it was Messages from Michael, and I just read a little bit of it, that something was Ouija board related there, and I didn't like the feel of it. I put it down.
Just, and disregard it.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Just.
Was I right in my
Just,
sensation there?
Disregard it, just.
It's not valid?
No.
Thank you.
Katie, there's an older gentleman in my life right now named Ernie Kane, and he's attracted to me very much, and I still keep a distance between us. I'm still, lack of trust, I guess, in gentlemen. Should I trust this gentleman or not? He's been very good to me.
I would say that you're very wise in maintaining a distance, so to speak, until you feel secure and certain that this individual would be a right or good person for you. They can do acts, people can do acts on helpful things for you with other or ulterior motives. And you must be certain of this. And you would be able to say or sense if the continued goodness comes and there's no insistence or expectancy of your maintaining contact, then you can be fairly certain that it would be all right. Or even then, step about cautiously. Be certain within yourself. Analyze the individual, in other words. Is this the type of individual I want to be in touch with, remain in contact with, on a reasonably regular basis? Or is it just what he is doing that I am seeing and not he himself? Evaluate him as well as what he does, being good to you.
What about John Locke from Kentucky? I know it's been brought up before and you didn't say anything, if that's something I'm supposed to be cautious of him too.
I would say keep away.
Okay, there's one other gentleman and
You got a
yeah, but he's a real cute little young one. Well, not young one, he's 2 years older than me, but his name is Nicholas, or Nick Brady. He's just nice to look at. I enjoy watching.
Well, I would say just admire him then. says, you can admire him without coming to a necessary closeness or relationship or connection of any kind. He's all right. Says, he's all right.
Thank you.
Katie, you once told me that something in my life I needed to stop, and this was received from a dream, or it would wind up causing me to become very ill or even to make transition. And I'm wondering, has that been changed, what I thought it was? The situation changed enough that it's safer to maintain?
I think if what you were saying, I just not quite remember it to that context, but there has been a change or a adjustment, yes.
And it's no longer that harmful to my safety?
Not certainly to your transition, no.
Good.
Katie, were my parents impressing my brother to quit the service that he could get out of that area in Tennessee?
In all probability, especially your mother.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, thank you. And I have another question. Marilyn Whitney told me, and she moved into another home in the Wyomissing area, and she heard a noise in the downstairs counter room, and she was half afraid to go look for fear somebody broke in. And when she did look today, there was a spot in the sink in this little bathroom where she said the metal shattered at a point, and she was wondering what caused that.
This was from pressure from the way the anchor is maintaining or holding the sink in place. There's a excessive pressure from the way it is anchored to its position.
And she was wondering if her house has extra guests in it.
On occasion, says there are two. They would be all right. She need not be awfully concerned with that. But there are two who do visit.
Are these two some of the first people that might have lived in that home?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Katie, is the earthquake in California the next year?
It is very difficult to say. The only thing that I say is that it will happen. I have always said it still changes it, still maintains it to be something will happen when they're playing football.
Does that mean the fall?
Yes.
Well, yeah, but they play football all year round now.
No, not in Johada Moses.
Yeah, but some of the,
fall.
but I think it's the regular season because she told us before they played.
We're not gonna have to be out there on stage and have it happen, are we?
No, I don't think so. No.
Is it gonna be safe in August for the instrument and I to go out?
Ask me then.
Oh, well, you come around then.
So it's not football season.
Come around in July.
Well, they prepare for it.
Katie, this question about certain people having a lack of trust, aside from experiences in other lives and this life which have led up to that, is there anything relating to one of the other creations that might cause this in a person? Or is it all from various life experiences?
Well, it can involve all the creations because some of their life experiences may well have been in a other creation. And you may have this undercurrent of hearing about it. I think the primary thing with having a sufficient trust would deal with all the creations because they are different in their own regard to the one of which the earth is a part. And since most incarnations deal with the earth, Therefore, that is the more acceptable and familiar one to you as a being, and as the overall soul, since all the creations have minority feelings. Therefore, there is questioning to a greater degree as to what is true, what is real, and what isn't. Because of your many inclinations to the earth, you have a more comfortable feeling as to what goes on and how you can progress and move on and accept what occurs. But with all the creations, you are not so comfortable. You is not so much at home, as you say. So therefore, you is less trustful until there is further verification in some way. That will include the activities dealing with another creation. So such, all the creations would be more, in effect, bringing about distrust.
Is there a common rule of thumb that you would give for people in a situation who generally don't tend to have much trust for maybe it would be the opposite sex or certain kinds of professions or what have you, but that they have a tendency to get involved in these areas? I don't know. I mean, I know no pain, no gain, but what is your feeling? I mean, you know, you've been going to all these other creations and touching stars and everything. How do you feel about this?
Well, I think primarily it is what one chooses to attain as a goal in the various carnations or incarnations they have. And you do play a very important part in how you achieve a goal. You may come and incarnate and have incarnations with certain purposes, so to speak, in mind. But it is the choosing of the individual and their aspirations as to how far they progress or achieve the goal that they set for themselves. If they become more tied up in intrinsic things or intrinsic values, they may not achieve or come near achieving the intended goal for themselves. Now, it doesn't mean they are, how do you say this? It doesn't mean that they are lessening their achievements. But what they achieve would be theirs and will benefit and be helpful in some way. It all depends upon how one decides to progress and in what way they prefer to progress. This is done as you mature and grow and become involved with your daily living, which is very important. And therefore this very well have an importance, if not to you, in helping another or others along their path to their goal. So you may be well giving up, in a sense, an opportunity of your own to achieve your goal, so as you can help another or others achieve theirs. And at the same time, by helping them, you are helping unify all of you. nozzle has been very long for the instrument. And as you can tell, he's starting to lose what voice he had. But anyway, I have been glad to be with you all, south and north. And,
I didn't get a picture of you yet.
well, you better click try.
Should I try?
Anytime you feel lit. But
I'm not going to use a flash, all right?
don't matter, sir.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway,
Will you concentrate with me?
well, I can talk and concentrate too.
Wow.
I just want you to know, all of you, that no matter where you are or what you are going to be doing, I'm going to share your holiday with you.
Oh, thank you. I need a miracle.
Not
I
really.
need a miracle.
You may be surprised at how many miracles will occur.
Katie, I have to ask one quick question. When you come the next time or sometime in the future, can I give you a hug? I have been wanting to do that for so long.
Now I will consider that. Let me see now.
Well, why wait till next time?
Because I think that can be arranged.
Oh.
How about right now?
What about right now, then?
Well,
There's no time for you, why should it make any difference?
It's Christmas.
I suppose being forewarned, I might allow it.
Oh, yes.
Just tell her you're there. I'm here. Anytime you're ready. I'm ready.
That's ready.
All right.
Oh, Katie.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, what a blessing.
Please, if you would all now cooperate with me, if you will.
Yes.
Accent as we sing. Still in night, hiding in night, all is sleep, eyes on light, nor doth brother walk hiding in night. Oh, that glory belonging in mine. Slotted in the shadow, slotted in the shadow. Slunk.
It was Georgie back.
She would've took it right as she left.
You want some
She
coffee?
just might be
George?
surprised.
George, you want some coffee?
Yeah, there's some.
Are you hungover, George?
What?
Do you want a little drink?
Yes.
Water?
Had 2 wines on here.
You know, 2 glasses of wine, 2 of these little cups of wine.
Little.
But your voice went out.
I don't think she would've took more. You turn it off.
Yeah, and I tried to get some water for that.